A GM-less tabletop role-playing game where you explore and you write and draw out a map while you explore. And by the end of your game, you have a whole new world fresh with locations and NPCs and history that you made while playing the game. It's like playing and world building at the same time. This is Cartograph by our friends over at Ravens Ridge Emporium. Today, we're going to break it down. So, let's break it down, y'all. Well, hey, Future Turk here, chiming in just to let you know that this video was recorded over the course of 2 days, and this was actually more of a chill, actual play kind of video. I really like the vibes of Cartograph, and I wanted to just take my time with it and just have some fun with this game. So this is a little bit kind of more laid back. I think a lot of my videos tend to be more high energy and all over the place, but I kind of just enjoyed this game for what it is. And so I hope that you enjoy this longer, more chill, laid back kind of actual play video. All right, back to the other guy. Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Yeah, around here, we do all different kinds of weird TTRPG things. But yes, today, we're checking out Cardigraph. And I'm really excited about checking this bad boy out because this game is just so cool. It has the potential to be, honestly, just something amazing. If you set your mind to it, if you do it right, if you get the equipment and you set it up, honestly, this game is so fun and so intriguing to me that, to be completely honest, I've been procrastinating because when I played it, I wanted to make sure that I did it right. I still don't know if I'm going to do it right, but we're going to do it. So that being said, we're going to give a big old shout out to our friends over at Ravens Ridge Emporium for sending this over to us for the purposes of making some content with it. That's right. And there will be links down in the description where you can get this bad boy for yourself. Yes. And of course, YouTube jibber jabber, you guys, you know what it is. Do the things, hit the buttons. But as well, if you want to support the show, can't talk today. If you want to support the show in other ways, there are links down in the description that you can use to click on things. And by doing that, it does help support the show. So thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate it. All right, so what are the plans for today? First of all, goodness, I think that reading this book, this could be such a fun supplement to even play with another setting, like Land of Eam or some other fantastical world setting where you're then setting up your own map and you're discovering the world and rolling on other roll charts in a separate game to then add into this world, right? This not only is a game in itself, but could be an amazing supplement in a couple of different ways. I mean, not only for world building, but for exploring the lore of another book, another game that you really want to explore in, right? Which you will probably see examples of that while we play today. But the plan for today is to start up a game, right? We're going to read through this. I'm going to show you guys what you need to play it, and I'm going to teach you a little bit of how to play it while we read through it, just so you can know what it's about, right? This first episode here is just kind of get you the basics, right? Get you going. And I'm going to start up my own little game of Cartograph today. And of course, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like right down there, because if this video here does get enough likes, I'll come back and I'll do an episode 2 of Cartograph, and we will continue building out this world using this system, all right? So today we're just going to be doing the basis of everything and checking everything out and giving this game a little bit of love, right? And if I'm being completely honest, I may come back and do an episode 2 anyway, just because it's a lot of fun, and if it fits in my schedule, I'm gonna do it. So, but that's besides the point. Let's hop over to the top-down camera. Now let's see what's going on. But for now, see, I have this huge piece of paper. This is going to be our map. And this game also requires that you have at least, I think, three sets of 4 dice, each different colors. So we actually have the Vason dice, the D6s, which I like a lot. But I will say, our friends, Ravens Ridge, actually made their own dice for this system. And the dice, the D6s, have the symbols on them that you need. And they're kind of cool. They're pink and blue and they look fantastic. So you can just straight up get dice for this game if you want. I'm a dice goblin and I really want them. So we'll see if that ever happens. Yes. You're also going to need some cards, you know, an eraser. This is an eraser. It's not a D6. It's also a D6, but it's an eraser. You're going to need your pencil and something to keep your notes in about your world. And we're going to be using, of course, our one-shot journal of 2026. We have been keeping all of our one-shots and everything else that we get from 2026 in this journal. Hopefully, we're going to do a full review of it once it's full or at the end of the year. So we've already got some fun stuff going on in here. Like Caught in the Rain, that was also made by Ravens Ridge. I got that in here as well. Random picture of Pop. Don't worry about that. We're going to go over to a blank page because that's where we're going to be starting. Okay, now let's whip this bad boy open, and I think I'm also going to get us a zoom going so we could actually see the beautiful, nice colors of this book while we're reading through it. All right, Cartograph by Brandon Lee, right? A friend over at Ravens Ridge. Very good, yes. I like this logo a lot. We actually, recently I just designed a solo TTRPG playmat that's like kind of in the form of like a Ouija board, and it's kind of has this compass rose thing, but with like a dice in the middle of it. So I'm really digging the compass rose stuff recently. Cool. That's right. Special thanks to Jesse, Claudia, Darren, AJ, Nicholas, Will, Spooner, Audie. Heck yeah, guys. Thank you so much. Big times, big thanks. So what is Cartograph? This is our table of contents. We're going to get right into what it is. First of all, just so you guys know what we're in for today. Cartograph is a solo journaling RPG about map making, exploration, world building, and resource management. The heart of this game revolves around the creation of a map, which you will fill out with detail as you play. You'll take on the role of a budding cartographer, arriving at a new land with a blank map, book, and a desire to explore. Making an explorer character that wants to go and explore and like write down everything that they find, you know? It's just so cool to me. Anyways, slowly but surely, the history of this new world will emerge, and your cartographer will have a journal full of notes and stories to reflect that. You will be sketching locations on an ever-growing map and exploring these locations through journal prompts. The cycle of play will have you rolling some dice onto a piece of paper and marking some of the features on the map according to where the dice land and on what number. You will then visit a location on your map and draw a card from the deck, which will then present a prompt for you to respond in your journal. Finally, you'll take a few actions to manage your resources and the cycle will restart. You may wish to play Cartograph over many sessions or all in one go. Ultimately, this exercise in creativity, facilitated by some rules and prompts, and as such, can become taxing on the mind. If you do intend to play all in one setting, be sure to take breaks here and there to reduce mental fatigue. It's crazy because I literally say that. I think at the end of a couple videos that I've done, like literally I'm mentally drained, so I have to end here. Like I think that's, yeah. And sometimes solo games will do that to you, especially because you're supposed to take prompts and then you're supposed to expand on them mentally, like depending on whatever's going on in the scene. So that's just wonderful to put in there, is all I'm saying. By the end of the game, you will have produced a map of an unknown world, complete with a journal that details those places. This can be a great artifact to use in other role-playing games. To play Cartograph, you'll need the following supplies: pencil and eraser, paper for the map, a place to take notes, a standard deck of playing cards, and a collection of 6-sided dice, ideally equal amounts of 3 different colors. 4, 4, and 4 is what we've done. 3 to 4 of each should be good enough. And a 20-sided die, and a 12-sided die for random tables. Oh, I almost forgot. First, we gotta find it. Oh, we're gonna find it. Where is it? There we are. We're gonna do our Grouch Couch Orange 20 and our 12. Very good. You can scan the QR code at the beginning of the book to download digital files of the game and game sheets. This book refers to landmarks, biomes, and temporary dice regularly. You'll want to denote which color die refers to each. I like to use blue for landmarks, white for biomes, and clear for temporary. It doesn't matter what color dice you use, as long as you can distinguish between all 3 types. So let's notate us up a legend. We'll do it in our little journal here. Okay, so we're going to do the Vason dice, which we'll mark with a V as landmark, and then we will do the basic white dice as biome, and the black basics will be temporary. Cool, we've got it written down there. Just went left to right. All right, moving on to the setup to begin. First, find a comfortable spot with space to roll dice and write. I think we have enough space, y'all. Just looking, you know. It's always good to have a dedicated TTRPG space. Just saying that. Dining room table, there ain't nothing wrong with that, but it's always good to have a dedicated spot. Start with 1 landmark die and 3 biome die. So 1 landmark, 3 biome. There we are. We'll put these to the side. These dice form your initial dice pool. Set the remaining dice aside for now. Shuffle the playing cards and set them aside too. Alrighty. These are the solo RPG playing cards. You guys, if you've been following the channel, you know how much I love these bad boys. This time around, we actually keep the jokers in, apparently. But these are cards that, Ravensridge have actually designed themselves. They're very fun because they have prompts on them, and they're also still playing cards. I love these a lot. There are other, solo cards out there, but they aren't still actual playing cards, and that's why I love these a lot. So we're just gonna get these a quick old shuffle. And I've used these since I played Caught in the Rain. I've already used these, I think, almost in every single game I think I've played since then. That's crazy. A useful tool is a useful tool. Why can I never do that right? I'm too gentle with these cards. Like, I don't want to hurt them, so I always mess up the riffle shuffle. All right, we'll set those aside too. Okay, finally, at the start of your journal, start by marking a spot to track your coin, wares, reputation, food items, and wounds. I'm wondering if, did I see a character sheet in here? I did. So I'm wondering if we could print this bad boy, because I love being able to print things and then cut them out and put them into my journal. So we're actually going to see if we can do that real quick. I want to take my time. A lot of times I rush through little one-shots and stuff, but I really want to take my time with this because this game is very, very cool. So just like with Caught in the Rain, I printed out the character sheet and I actually cut it up and then I put it into my journal. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect. I'm still learning, you know, this isn't some amazing thing, but I'm proud of myself for journaling. And if you are getting into the solo world and you're just starting to journal and you know, put pictures and stuff, you know, just do it, you know, no judgment. Everyone's is going to look different. That's what I'm talking about. But all right, let's see if we can print this thing. Okay, I just scanned the QR code in the book and then I print from my phone. There it is, character sheet. That's what I'm talking about. And then later we can cut this and actually just put it right into our journal, which is going to be fun. And there's also a couple other things that they have on their site, like PDFs you could download, like dice faces, I think, as well as like a map with a border, like a piece of paper you could print to do your map on. It's also kind of fun. But let's build our character, shall we? Okay, a place to put coin, wares, reputation, food, items, wounds, and a spot to fill out a few details about your cartographer. Alternatively, print out a copy of the character sheet provided in this book. Yeah, we did that. Heck yeah. Before starting this cycle of play, you'll need to know who you are embodying as you traverse the unknown. To create your cartographer, first mark in your starting resources. You start the game with 1 food, 1 ware, 1 coin, and your reputation is 0. So these are big boxes for that. These are real big. We're gonna do tallies or what? Maybe we'll do tallies. 1 food, 1 coin, 1 food, 1 ware, and a reputation is 0. There we are. I don't know, is my hat covering it? I need to quit wearing hats when I do these videos. I can't help myself. Okay, then follow the steps below, detailed over the next 5 pages. Choose a name and pronouns, value and disposition, specialization, a background, and 2 characteristics. So we'll just go to each page and do the thing. Very good. We have a D20. Excuse me, for my nose to be itchy. I love me a good ribbon too. Did I talk about the quality of this book yet? I usually always forget to do that. It's really nice, you guys. This is the hardcover, of course. It's really nice. It's nice and saturated. Everything in here. Every page has these cool borders on it. There isn't a lot of pictures, but there are some, as we can see, right? So it's not completely walls of text, but everything's spaced really well. And a little birdie told me that they put a secret in Caught in the Rain that I totally missed. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a secret Easter egg in this one too. Y'all pay attention for that, okay? All right, let's roll for our name. First and last. That's 8. We have Jover. Do we like Jover? Harlow. I like Harlow a lot. Maybe we don't even roll. Maybe we just pick. Because you could do that if you want to. Harlow. Yeah, but I want to roll for his last. Mateo is also really good. We're going to go with Harlow. Harlow 6. Harlow Cypress. Okay. I don't have enough room. I don't have enough room to write the whole name. It goes up. It's fine. We fit it. He, him, so we can keep it simple. All right. Value and disposition. Next, you want to determine a value they hold and their disposition. Their disposition informs a general tone in which they interact with the world, and their value shows you what is important to them. Select or roll. Well, I have no idea. So, well, value for us, I think, since we want to be kind of like a Volo character, we want to go and explore and, see what is that? What's going on in there? I want to see, we want to experience and we want to journal. So I think something like that is going to be perfect. Knowledge is okay. Generosity. Experience. I think that's it, Experience. I'm just going to put XP on it. But what is our disposition? We should be curious. I think we're just going to pick. He's going to be curious. Just to keep it simple. We haven't rolled for specialization yet. No, I'm assuming that's next. I bumped the microphone. Sorry about that. Our specialization. We either have historian, explorer, collector, doctor, nomad, or scientist. We could select or roll. So nomad is kind of like we just travel everywhere, which kind of means we're probably good at like camping, we're good at like setting up wherever we want to be. So maybe we could do nomad. We're definitely not a doctor. We could also be an explorer. Yeah, I think explorer is cool. So that's what we're going to do. Explorer. I need to sharpen my pencil. Whenever I got this game and I was setting up and thinking about how I wanted to do it, I literally went and bought a pencil sharpener just to be able to play this game. I also went and looked through all my old stuff to find these big sheets of paper just for this game. But watch, it's plugged into the same spot as my light. It's gonna go off. Yep. Yeah, it went off. So, all right, we're good. So, all sharpened up. What do we got next? We start with 2 extra temporary dice, which, if I remember right, were the black ones, right? Cool. Before you can journey onto a new land, we had a rich life full of aspirations, friends, foes, and adventure. Roll on the tables on the next page to define where they came from, or we can create our own background. So, there's some really good roll charts on here. I already kind of have a fun idea that I think I'm already going to go with, but you could have wild and expansive, beautiful, small, any different kind of world that you came from. My company, the reason that you decided to leave, I have a vivid dream. I'm following clues. That's kind of fun. I left behind companions, debt, unresolved problems, a loving family, or my entire identity. I think that that's fun. So our character is going to be the grandson of a grand explorer. And this grand explorer wrote out and journaled all of these things in his journals and published them all throughout the land. Let's call him Wulo, our great grandfather Wulo. And he published all these things, and everyone loves it. And we were tired of living in the shadow of our grandfather, but we wanted to do something similar because we love to explore. So we got on a boat and we came to this new land, or somehow, however we got here. But one thing we did get was Wulo's old magical journal, and he gave us this journal to be able to write out our own stuff. It was like his dying wish. Go out there and continue my works, right? But we didn't want to be in his shadow. So we came to this world. So we left everything we had behind and we left, and we just brought this journal with us because we want to explore and adventure and see the new curiosity of the world. So we can bring back our journal of this other world back to our homeland and tell the people about, this other world that we went to and everything that's going on over there. I think that's kind of fun. Cool. Characteristics. That's fun. Let's do that. Okay, D20. Ooh, 13. Exotic hair color. I'm cool with that. Let's make his hair bright orange. We got a place for that on the sheet? We don't, but that's okay. We'll just remember that his hair is bright orange. Now we have our opening scene. Are we already ready to do this? I think so, huh? Before getting into the game proper, you may like to know how exactly you came to this new land and what complications you faced in doing so. Roll on the below tables, and make a short journal entry answering the prompt and detailing your voyage to this new place. Okay. So let's whip our journal back. Cartograph, here we go. We don't got to write down our character sheet stuff because we're just going to copy paste it. But let's roll on this. We have D6s to roll on. Let's roll these 2 black ones. Top one, bottom one. 1. My voyage to the new land was made way of, we either have magical or vehicle. So it could be boat. I think magical is way more. 2. The journey was filled with glorious sights. What filled you with awe? Well, if it was magical, maybe it was a magical vehicle. I was thinking like teleporter, something like that. That's what I was thinking. Does this character get a voice? I so badly wanted to put together a costume for this one shot as well. I do a lot of costumes around here, you guys. And I wanted to get like a little leather backpack, like full of scrolls, and I was in like a green tunic of some kind and like a little explorer's hat with a feather in it. I really wanted to do that, but currently I couldn't afford the costume pieces. We'll get there one day though. We'll get there. Okay, this starts with my voyage to the new land was by way of. I have no idea why. I just decided to do that in cursive. I don't think I've written in cursive since middle school. How did I remember how to do that? I'm just in the mode of Cartograph. I think that's what it is. I was like, I think Cartograph would do cursive. I think Harlow, Cyprus, would do cursive. Harlow. I almost want to spell it just with an O, like Volo or Wolo. Is it Harlow? Jeez. Okay. Was by way of magical what? I'm thinking if it was full, okay, what we're actually going to do, since that doesn't make sense, it was full of glorious sights. That doesn't make sense. I really like these roll charts. But if I want to do like a magical teleportation thing, maybe, you know what I mean? Our family has teleportation magic, and that's how they did all their stuff. So they're sending us to this other world, and maybe they don't have any teleporters set up on this world, except like maybe one on the very edge or something. So we're just going to do magical teleporter, and we're going to say, and it was instantaneous. I think that's the only sentence I'm going to do in cursive. I ain't going to do that again. I don't know what I was thinking. That's not where it's at. So let's just underline it to say it's like some fun intro thing. We ain't gonna do that again. Crack myself up. Throughout the game, your cartographer will be acquiring and losing a variety of resources. As you respond to prompts and take actions during the rest phase, you will need to keep track of these in your journal as you go. Each resources will be detailed over the next few pages. Okay. Reputation. Your reputation is an abstraction of how well known you are becoming in the new land. And in what way? If it is a negative value, you are seen as an uninvited guest to a new land. If it's positive value, your presence is welcomed. I love that. That's fun. You could be evil guy coming to take over a new land. You don't need to be an explorer. You can be like, a Viking, like, I'm gonna come here and take all your shit. You could do that. You may wish to consider your reputation when responding to a prompt. Additionally, you may wish to consider your reputation as a measure of how proficient you are as a cartographer. Reputation modifies the cost of items. When you take the shop rest action, each item costs 1 coin less for each reputation you have, to a minimum of 1 coin. For example, if you have -3 reputation, items cost 3 more. If you had 3 reputation, however, they would cost 3 fewer. Reputation can be spent to re-roll your dice. When you roll your dice in an exploration phase, you may lose 1 reputation to re-roll any number of your dice. You may do this any number of times, so long as you have 1 or more reputation to lose for each re-roll. So they're also like, reputation in itself is a currency that you can spend. Wounds. Wounds are short sentence fragments that describe an injury, physical or otherwise, that your cartographer has sustained on their journey. You start with 3 wound slots. If your cartographer must take a wound that has no slots to do so, your cartographer perishes and the game is over. When you receive a wound, write a sentence fragment stating what injury has occurred. For example, shattered forearm. See page 83 for inspiration. Cool, so you start with 3 wound slots. If you take more than that, that's it, you're over. So we have our box here on our character sheet. Wounds, very good. Coin is a numerical is a numerical abstraction of wealth or currency. You might wish to think about what this land uses as currency, or you may wish to simply leave it abstract. See page 81 for inspiration. Coin is used to take additional actions in the rest phase, buy items and converse with local. I think that, man, it'd be cool to do some fun stuff, you know? Different kinds of currency that they'd be using. I want to go look at page 81 and 83, just to look for our inspiration tables a little bit. What do they look like? My brain was already like bones. Currency table, rings of metal, artifacts, petals, glass beads, seashells, gems, effigies, seeds, fossils, cards. There's also a wares table, hunting table, wounds table, concussion, whiplash, sunburn, intense bruising. I'm a sucker for a good roll chart. These are fantastic. What's we got? Outcome oracles, failure outcomes. Cool. And there's that map I was telling you about that you could print. Very cool. The blank map anyway. And there's the character sheet and the rules reference, which, hey, guess what? I also printed the rules reference. I don't know if I talked about that yet. There it is. Very cool. My printer's running out of ink. It's okay. All right, wares. Wares represent the various commodities and goods you may acquire throughout play. You can carry a maximum of 5 wares at any given time, though some items may give you more space. Wares are tracked by a numerical value. However, you may wish to instead write what you are transporting, such as grayberry wine. See page 80 for inspiration. We did look at it. Wares can be sold at settlements for coin and primarily serve as a way to make money or converse with locals. When you enter a settlement, you determine its ware value, which is how much coin they are willing to pay. Maybe a D6 roll or something. Food. Food represents your stockpile of nourishment. There is no limit to the amount of food you can carry, so hoard away. Food is your primary way of replenishing dice when in the wilderness and traveling to distant locations. Items are significant boons to your cartographer. They usually offer powerful bonuses. Items, huh? So items and wares are 2 different things. Very good. That help you fill out your map quicker, aid in resource management, or keep your cartographer out of harm's way. You cannot carry duplicates of the same item. If you are instructed to acquire a random item, simply draw and discard the top card of the deck and consult the table on page 52. Items have non-descriptive names by design. You should think of a descriptive name for an item when you take it that fits with the land you have created. For example, maybe the people of the settlement ride 3-legged goats around, so your animal mount might be a 3-legged goat. Items are granted by prompts or by taking the shop action in the rest phase. Cool. Yeah, I'm down with that. The map. Here we are, the fun bit. Look at all them cool little doodly doodlies down there. Look at all these doodly dudes. Very good. Num 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 num. The map. You'll be asked to fill out the map a lot as you play, but the specifics on how you do that are not defined. This is intentional. Art is a personal expression. It doesn't matter if you are an accomplished artist or a stick figure connoisseur. Your map will be wonderful and wholly yours all the same. During the exploration phase, you'll be rolling your dice pool onto the paper. Wherever the dice land dictates where that feature of the map is located. Don't be beholden to this. If you've already established a coastline and the biome dice rolls into the middle of the ocean, you can move it to somewhere more appropriate. You cannot disregard a dice entirely, however. It could also offer an interesting part of your world, too. Why are there pine trees jutting out of the stormy sea? How is there a desert in the middle of the ocean? You should draw your map in pencil, as you may be erasing and redrawing features as you learn more about them. Below are some examples for how you could draw these elements if you are stumped, which is exactly what we're going to be doing because I'm not an artist. I literally, when I got this book in the first place, I even told myself, like, I'm going to practice drawing just so I can get better at this. I have a notebook, right? I was like, I really want to be able to play this game to its fullest. So I was like practicing and drawing in the notebook, and I've been journaling and everything, and it was just for this. Don't tell anybody else, okay? But we're still going to be using these prompts, and I'm still going to do my best. I'm not an artist. I'm a talker, right? That's what I do. I'm not an art boy. But that doesn't matter because we're still going to have some fun today, right? You don't need to be an artist to play this game, but you may feel some pressure too, like I did, and that's okay. The journal. The journal is your logbook, cataloging various wonders your cartographer discovers as you play. Generally, you make a journal entry when responding to your prompt, but if the inspiration takes you, feel free to notate more. You may wish to write a paragraph on the rest actions your cartographer takes as they make their way through bustling winding thoroughfares to find an inn for the night, or haggle with a four-armed salesman for that particularly shiny relic. When writing journal entries, try to keep things brief. No more than a paragraph tends to work best. Otherwise, the flow of play begins to slow, and it can become tedious rather than fun. If you find the journaling aspect to be tiresome, write less. Even a sentence can be plenty. If you prefer not to do any journaling at all, see page 42 for non-authoring rules. When responding to prompts, you should consider the reputation of your cartographer, the wounds you have, the places they've been, the mechanical reward of the prompt, and the people that they have met. These things can offer narrative context and are a great jumping point for a prompt response. Each experience serves to weave a greater story about the world that you have found yourself in. So if you need inspiration, look to the map you're creating. All right, what page did it say? 42. We're still going to be doing a little bit of journaling, but I want to see what that has to say. Gameplay options. Multiplayer mode. Yeah, this game is not for solo. It's also like for multiple people, which I think is really cool. Could be exploring a world together. Non-authoring mode uses tags and skill tests to resolve situations with uncertain outcomes. If you wish to do away with the writing aspect of Cartograph, follow these rules. Firstly, ignore the journaling aspects of Cartograph. Use the prompt questions to frame a scene instead. You should still draw your map and track resources, however. What are tags? During cartographer creation and throughout the game, your cartographer will acquire tags. I think we want this to be more narrative, but I think this is kind of like a setup to have it be more like skill checky and you know what I mean, stuff like that. But I think I want it to still be narrative. Anytime you get a wound, consider that a wound tag. It's kind of like Son of Oak, Legend in the Mist, or City of Mist. They do like tags and stuff too. Yeah, Powered by the Apocalypse, I think, kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't want to compare it to anything if I don't know exactly. Making a skill test. You roll a d6. Very good. First, consider what they're trying to do. Then start with one 6-sided die. For each tag a cartographer has that would help the situation, grab another die. Cool, simple. And then we have our little chart here, which I love. You aren't like trying to beat a target number. And many systems in Cartographer are modular and can be ignored, should you feel they hinder you rather than have fun. If you want to take peaceful mode further, you can instead ignore the resource management aspect of the game altogether. In this case, simply roll dice on the page at your leisure. Draw a card from the deck and consult the prompts. So you don't even actually have to play it as a game. This could just be a map builder. I think that that's cool. And I love that they introduced that. Now, we're getting sidetracked. Let's back up and go back to where we were. The prompts. Whenever you visit a location, you'll be presented with a prompt. The prompt gives you a starting point detailing location and will end with a question. You should aim to answer the questions in your journal. After the questions, most prompts will display a mechanical effect in bold. This is generally gaining or losing resources, but some are different. Some offer you a choice between two effects. If you can't fulfill the conditions of a choice, you cannot select it. For example, if the choice was lose 1 food and gain 3 biome dice, but you didn't have any food to lose, you wouldn't take the option. Some prompts may give a benefit or detriment when the next specified phase occurs. This effect only happens once and occurs the very next time the indicated phase starts. For example, lose 1 action in your next rest phase would result in the player only having 1 action to perform in that next phase. Right, tripped up in my words. The player would have 2 actions in the following rest phase as per normal. Prompts for biome dice will imply a sub-biome to add a variety of general biomes on the exploration table. Once you visit and draw a prompt for a biome, you may also wish to erase and redraw the biome to better reflect its sub-biome. For example, the prompts for the open land biome may imply a tundra, swamp, desert, or many other such areas of open land. Very cool. All right, the dice. The dice are integral to Cartograph and represent landmarks and biomes your cartographer will learn about as they explore. More specifically, these dice represent locations your cartographer has seen, heard about, or otherwise learned of their existence. Landmark dice mark settlements on your map, which are generally favorable locations. Biome dice mark natural environments that define the landscape. When rolling dice onto the map page, the values of the dice will indicate general locations, such as forest, discovery, city, etc. It is only when you choose to visit these locations, that you will uncover further details of that place. For example, you may roll open land on a biome die. Later, when you choose to visit this location, it is revealed that the open land is a fetid swamp filled with rotten trees. Cool. Temporary dice are special dice you may acquire on your journey. You may treat these either dice as landmark or biome dice when you roll them. It's your choice. Cool. During play, you'll be rolling dice from your dice pool directly onto your map. This is the primary way the map gets filled out with detail. Some prompts or actions may let you gain more dice. Whenever this happens, you simply take the appropriate color dice from your supply and add them to your pool of dice. Whenever you would lose a die, you lose it from your dice pool and return it to your supply. Okay, fair enough. So the game can end in a number of ways. Your cartographer takes too many wounds. You draw your 3rd joker of the same color. I don't think I have 3 jokers. I think these cards only came with 2. So after we draw them, we're going to have to put them back, basically. You run out of dice at any point. It's over as well. These represent a negative end to your cartographer's expedition. If you manage to name 10 locations on the map and have at least 1 complete coastline, your cartographer retires explorers and has finished their journey. A complete coastline is defined by a single unbroken coast stretching from one page edge to another, or by a fully enclosed island. If your, complete coastline surrounds an island, it must have at least 5 named locations on it. In other words, your island must be of significant size. You may wish to change the number of locations you need to name to win, depending on how long you want your game to be. Try 6 locations for a short game, or 15 for a long one. Sometimes the game will end, and you'll have a half-finished map on your hands. That's okay. You can always return to the map and finish it at your leisure. Start up a new character, get her going, or you can fill out half the map, and then while you're like playing a campaign in this world that you're building, because you can do that, that's kind of like the point of this game, you can start fleshing it out even more, right? You'd be like, oh, I need a kingdom for here for my world building. Slap her on there, dog. Could be sick. All right. Here are some general principles you should keep in mind when playing Cartograph. Collated over many games of Cartograph, but they are just that, advice. Ignore and all the suggestions here if you wish. Intuition first. Occasionally, situations in Cartograph where the rules dictate a nonsensical outcome, or an idea comes to you that isn't stated by the rules. I like that they put that in there because that's kind of the way that I always play. Anyway, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that. Embody your cartographer. It goes without saying, but try to view everything through the lens of your cartographer. We are curious and explorative, and we're in it for the experience. Fantasy setting. Cartograph is built to create fantasy worlds. That isn't to say that magic must exist in your world, but it's likely that it does. If you wish to utilize Cartograph for other games, other genres, see page 46. Flamingos with 10-foot long legs and, weird stuff like that. I like whimsical stuff, but I also like to put adult twists on it, you know what I mean? So I like to be whimsical, but still adult. Like, that might come out in our game a little bit while we play today or even next time. So this section will define common themes. We have locations. We have marking locations, extending and erasing coastlines, people, drawing cards, turns and phases. I really like that they included this. This is really good stuff. For anybody who is unfamiliar with this kind of game or something like this, I think that this is really helpful, Someone picking up a TTRPG for the first time would absolutely be able to play this because they've included everything that you need to play. And I think that that's awesome. That's important. When consulting an exploration table, you may notice that the mountain and lake results for biome dice become a mountain range or river if 2 dice are present. When this happens, you should consider each dice to be the ends of the river or mountain range and aim to draw the feature from one die to another. Oh, that's cool. Additionally, for rolls of the same value that land near each other, you may like to combine them into one same biome. All right, now we're on to the important part of the book. Look, I don't know how long this video is going to be, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like we might have been here for a little while already, okay? So I might record this over the course of 2 days because I really do want to get a really good bit of gameplay going in this first video, right? A real good example of what this game has to offer. So if all of a sudden I'm wearing a different shirt, don't worry about that, okay? That's all I'm saying. Anywho, also, since we're at this middle part of this video, hey, remember YouTube Jibber Jabber, you guys. Hit the buttons and hit the links if you want to do the things. I appreciate you so much. And thank you, Ravensridge, once again. Appreciate you. Okay, let's talk about the cycle of play. Let's get our ribbons out of the way here. Cartograph is divided into 3 distinct phases of play, which form the cycle of play. The game begins in the exploration phase. Get out your sextant and roll out your parchment. Get out your sextant and roll out your parchment. It's time to make a map. Don't worry, you don't have to do it all at once. Yeah, pretty good. Procedure: roll your dice pool directly onto your map. Okay, let's move these things real quick here. We're gonna set that there. That's gonna go there. Yes. We've got our cards. We've got our dice here. Yes. These are gonna be our extra dice. Just organizing, y'all. I know you can't see it yet, don't worry. Our cartographer sheet. We're gonna put our cards right there. We've got our pool of dice. Very good. Let's zoom out a little bit so y'all can see a little bit more. There we are. Is our camera straight? That don't look straight. There we go. Okay. Roll your dice pool directly onto your map. Try to roll them close together. Sometimes using a cup and upturning it onto the paper works well. If some dice fall off the paper, re-roll them. So I'm wondering if we should just start now. If we should just do it and just start. I think we should, honestly. And I'm also wondering my dice cup, which I haven't ever used in a video before. So we're going to use this dice cup. It's kind of neat. It was my first Dungeon Masters ever, like 12 years ago. And he left it at my house when the campaign ended. And so I still have it. There we are. Mark coastlines around all landmark dice. And we got to remember, landmarks are V, which are the Vaesen dice. Settlements often also find themselves near water, so mark a rough coastline around each landmark dice, no more than a few centimeters. You may wish to fully surround the die, denoting an island if you want to. That's cool. We're going to do like the top left. We're going to start up here, and then we're going to go down. So we're going to do. There was an example actually seen when I was reading the book the first time. Yeah, so here's our example. You can see that they've rolled some dice on their first turn, and that's kind of how they ended up. All 4 4 of their dice here. So they did a coastline around this one and a coastline around that one, right? That eventually turned into this, right? Which is kind of neat. And they also have, so this is their first coastline there. There it is there. So kind of fun stuff. That's like their example. So we're going to try to follow that a little bit. We only have 1 landmark dice to start with, so that shouldn't be too complicated. Let's go on ahead and just do our first roll, and then we're going to leave them on the table. That's what we're going to do. I was also thinking about getting a my dice tower. Let me show you. Here's another option you guys can do if you're ever thinking about it. So this is my dice tower. The cool thing about this is this bottom piece, it's 3D printed. So this bottom piece actually just comes off like that, right? So you could set your dice tower right like off your map like that, and then you could just drop it in there, and then there you have it, right? And you can move it around and you can drop all your dice in there. So that's like just another idea of something that you could do if you have a dice tower at home or whatever. We're not going to do that today. We might if we're feeling thrifty, but for our first turn, we're not. Okay. Shuffle up. We're going to do like literally this top right corner. So I'm actually going to scoot everything down a little bit so we can get it centered. Just make sure this is the right side of the paper. It is. Right there. There we have it. Everyone's waiting for the reveal. Pull them up. Wait for the reveal. Okay. Landmark dice. Gotcha. Consult the exploration table and begin sketching your map. If some dice would make sense shifted around, do it. Return all rolled dice back to your pool. You might want to do this as you draw your map, returning 1 die at a time. Gotcha. Then we have the arrival phase. So we're going to teleport in, you know? Here we are. Right. Let's lift, though. There we are. Whoa, those are all together. Is that 3 6s? I wonder what that means. Our landmark dice is way down here, though. So I feel like because of the way that that is set up, it should be this corner, the bottom right, which I think we're free to do, right? We didn't flip that, did we? Good. We're actually just going to take this, and we're going to start at the bottom right corner instead. We might have squished them a little bit, squashed them. So they were like, I'd say like that. All right, so that's going to be our coastline. Mark coastlines around all the landmark dice, which is a 6, by the way. Consult the exploration table. Where is our exploration table? I think it's actually good that they put, so what they did was they actually put the cycle of play together. So it goes exploration, arrival, rest, and it has your rest actions. They put it all right next to each other, and I think that that's good, right? So even though we have to flip to find the exploration table, I still think that that's good. Hacking cartographer. Ooh, look at that. Nebula, asteroid field, void, weird space. Integrating other RPGs. Didn't I talk about that? Bruh. Originally inspired for a novel game, Nicholas Rubina titled Grimoire. Nick, you made a book called Grimoire? Where at? Where they at? Huh? Sorry. Nick's the homie. All right. Journey by Grayscale Press. Microscope by Ben Robbins. Right. So a few I can recommend. Oh, like recommend like hacking them together. That's cool. Because they could just be fun to like be in a different world. And Legend of Land of Eam has so many roll charts in the back. I'll talk about it more once I do that. This ain't about that. So we ain't going to talk about it. Okay. Where's our pencil? Our exploration table, our landmark dice. On a 6, found a discovery. Our biome dice, which we have, they're all the white ones. We have 2 6s. So same as closest biome. What is the closest biome? 3, lake. Coastline into lake? Oh, that's going to be weird as heck looking though, isn't it? Sorry, my hat keeps getting in the way, doesn't it? So we have a discovery on our landmark dice, and then 3 6s, a 5, and a 3. So these are all same as closest biome. And then on our 5, we have same as closest biome. And then on a 3, we have lake. River if 2 dice. What if it's 5? How has this happened? What in the fuck? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just go back here. Settlements often find themselves near water. Mark a rough coastline around each landmark dice. No more than a few centimeters. You may wish to fully surround the die to denote an island if you want to, which we might actually have to do. But let's go like this. I'm actually going to go like real pretty far into it. Then we consult the exploration table. We begin sketching our map. If some dice would make sense shifted around slightly, just do it. The rules are not rigid here. It's more important to make a cohesive map. Copy that. Okay, we do have don't we have a discovery table? We have a journey table. Okay, we aren't there yet. 5 is discovery. This thing is full of roll charts. Baby, I love me a good roll chart. These guys, man, y'all done out here killed it. This is awesome. I love me a good roll chart. People's roll charts. Where's hunting? Literally the whole friggin' back of the map is roll charts. That's crazy. Okay, let's go on ahead and ribbon our exploration table. Cool. And then we're going to ribbon our cycle of play. So is there going to be like, I'm trying to think with my brain here, right? And I think this is a cool like little peninsula coastline to arrive at. 3 is lake, or it's a river if there are 2 dice. All 3 of these are same. So I'm honestly wondering if we just do a big old dang old lake right here. So what if we shift these up a little bit like that? Kind of make a fun little shape, right? And so maybe the ocean over here has actually like come in a little bit. And that's our coastline. But is there a way, do they have, let's see. Right, because if you roll a bunch, you can kind of interpret it the way that you want to. And I think that I'm cool with that. But I'm wondering if they have in here that example, right? Lake. Oh, that's pretty crazy looking. So we're actually going to do this. And we're going to say right here at the top, don't move, don't move. That this is like, I'm sure that don't make any sense. But now that I'm done with them, we'll actually put them up. This was a 6 on a landmark, discovery. I'm going to keep that there because I want to remember. But let's pretend that like all of this out here is ocean. So this is like a weird landmark that we've landed. And whenever we said that, how did we get here, right? We're talking about how we teleported into this land. So what if this weird island-ish peninsula thing we got going on right here on the edge has like a magical teleporter pad, you know what I mean? But it is a discovery. So we're going to worry about that later. For now, I'm just going to keep it right there so I remember that that is a discovery. Ow. Okay. Kind of fun, kind of brain pushing, you know, really honestly kind of fun. Okay, we'll turn the dice to the dice pool. And I had those temporary dice that I started with, right? I had those 2 extra temporaries because I'm an explorer. And I just want to see if I keep them after I roll them. Do I keep them? Yeah, I think so. Okay, arrival phase. Moving on here. It's time to choose which location interests your cartographer. It is during this phase that you will flesh out the details of one of the locations on your map. This is done by chronicling your expedition in your journal. Choose any location on your map. If the chosen location is not the closest to your current, you must lose 1 food to travel there. You can choose a landmark or a whole biome. Just going on the lake, boys. That's all we've got. Draw a dashed line from your previous location to this one. If this is your first arrival phase of the game, skip that step and go to step 3. Draw a card from the deck and consult the journey table. Write a short sentence or 2 in your journal answering the prompt and describing the journey to this place. This journal entry should be brief. So how did we get here? And then we draw a card and we see the location of the place. So we have our cards up here. Let's go ahead and just draw one. That's a 9 of spades. So we'll go back to our journey page over here. Journey table, 9. Your travel was blessed by a rare event. What did you witness? Heal 1 wound. Well, we ain't got any of them. But let's just say through the magical tunnel when we magically teleported, something happened. Right, let's write that out. I'm going to number them too. 1, my journey was magical. I think being Harlow, he would probably, in his little magical book, write out the experiences that he felt while he was going through said magical tunnel. I imagine it's not just like, it's probably like go into the magical transportation pad and he feels like he's flying through a tunnel and then he lands on the other side, right? So he'd probably talk about how he's seen beautiful colors through the magical tunnel and everything else like that, and how there was like stars and it was an amazing experience that felt like floating and it was airy and, you know, it was beautiful. So in a sense, it would heal 1 thing, right? So we could remember that too, because if we ever go back that way, we could be like, if we hit one of the magical tunnels, we know it's going to heal us. So he's going to write down in his journal, like, this tunnel will heal you if you feel wrong, right? Fair enough. All right, so now that we know how we got here, draw a card and consult the appropriate location table and respond to the prompt in your journal. Write a sentence or 2 of this place. Remember to journal from the point of view of your cartographer. Keep in mind what people might be here and what landscape surrounds you. Flip a card. 4 of diamonds for our first landmark. Oh, that's fun. When consulting the journey table, you may want to know what the weather was like. And they have that down here too. Each suit represents 1 different thing. That's fun. We have our joker tables. We aren't messing with that yet. What table do we consult? Consult the appropriate location table. Read discovery prompts. Here we are. Very good. I was too impatient. 4. A perilous natural landmark. What innate element makes this site so difficult to traverse? What is rumored to lie at its center? Gain 1 random item. Okay. What? My brain is like, just thinking. I imagine since we're on this coastline, there's like these huge, like jagged rocks of obsidian that are making it hard to like traverse, you know what I mean? And like in the center of it, there's like this teleportation, like rune that's carved into this large circular rock. And that's like kind of where we land. So we don't land in a city or anywhere crazy. This is just like the middle of heckin' nowhere. Does the 6 matter? Oh, because the 6 was, gotcha. So there's a little circle, kind of hard to see for you guys, but I'm wondering how big I should make it. Oh, first let's also see what random item we get. Red item tables. Okay, 4. An assistant. What? Once per turn you may pay 1 coin to extend a coastline or name a location. So someone was waiting for me here. Who was waiting for me here? On this 4 we have Marley. Marley. I'm underlining it. So here's what I wrote. My journey was magical. I landed on a coastline filled with sharp obsidian rock. I met a man named Marley, a young man named Marley, who knew I was coming, and he's here to help. So once per turn, I can pay a coin to extend, pay a coin to extend a coastline or name a landmark. Very cool. So now here's the question. I think that kind of ends our first bit here. We drew our 2 cards. I want to think about how, I'm going to draw these sharp rocks of obsidian. And I also want to finish writing out the lakes. But write a sentence or 2, remember to journal from the point, right? Name the location on your map. If you're stuck, there are name generators from page 70 onward. The obsidian coastline, or something like that. It could be like a mountain range of obsidian all around this coast here. Let's roll just for the heck of it. 9. White tooth. Ah, that's cool. Black tooth. We'll do black tooth. Spire. Yes, very good. Blacktooth Spire. That's pretty sweet. I tell you what, we like that name a lot. Okay, so we're going to try to do sharp obsidian here. And I want to cover it in a little bit because it's, obsidian, so it's supposed to be dark. So I'm just going to scribble it in here. And then we want this like summoning circle here. So we're going to do that there. And then we're going to do Blacktooth Spire. And then we're going to put some more on the other side. My finished product there. This first little location. I think it's fun. It's magical. I like extreme, cool locations. Blacktooth Spire. I know my handwriting's bad. My drawing's really bad. But we have this makings of the start of a map, right? I think that's really cool. And yeah, it's fun. We took what the dice gave us and we ran with it, baby. And that's what this is all about. All right, cheers to continuity errors, my friends. So I've had a whole day to think about this a lot, and I really want to get like a red pen because on my map, if we hop over here, you remember Blacktooth Spire. I remember Blacktooth Spire. I wrote the words like the city, the name of this location, just in pencil. But I think what I want to do is I actually want to go back through and do it, the location in red pen. And I also want to re-outline everything in like a nice dark pen as well. For now, I'm going to continue drawing everything in pencil. But if I can manage it before the end, or maybe even after the actual play, I'll post it on socials or in Discord. The finished version of the map, I'll go through with actual pens and stuff and make it look real pretty. I think that might be real fun thing to do. Also, I'm a graphic designer by trade. I don't know if a lot of you guys don't know this, but I actually got my degree in that stuff, and I might actually drop this into, some kind of Photoshop or something and make it to look real pretty that way as well. Who knows? All right, but we're back. It's been a whole day, and I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I'm just excited to get back to it. So let's do it. So we're moving on. We're going to finish off this cycle, no matter what here in this video. We're moving on to our rest phase, and this is kind of fun. If we remember from yesterday, I've been thinking about it a little bit. Our boy Harlow actually met up. This is like the story bit, I think, of us in Blacktooth Spire. We just arrived. There are settlement actions in this game that you could take, and there are also wilderness actions. So we're going to be doing our wilderness actions in our rest phase, but Harlow is with, I underlined it just so I remember, Marley, right? So Harlow met up with Marley, and I think Marley is like this guide, kind of like tour guide kind of guy, right? Like our grandfather or our family or something sent word that we were coming, and they've hired Marley to kind of hang out with us this first little while and kind of get us maybe to a settlement or something, right? So we're with Marley and we're going to camp out. But our rest phase, after a hard day's travel, your cartographer has some downtime, and I also want to take my hat off because when I was editing yesterday's footage, my hat is in that footage so much. Okay, so we have some downtime to kick up our feet, talk to the locals, buy items or supplies, or go out hunting, right? So this is kind of like, I feel like a good time to do story beats in our game, especially if you want it to be a little bit more narrative like we are. I was thinking a lot. I don't know how much of that I'm going to keep in, but there is a whole section in this book to make it more skill checky and make it actually like a game. I was also thinking like, how cool would it be to do this, but to supplement it with another game? So like when you go somewhere, you figure out what's there and then you have to take an action. So in my solo games, I'm going to rant for a second. All right. So this is going to be a longer video, but in my solo games, I have a thing that I set up called Start, where you do scene, task, action, and you go through. So you would essentially be using this book to set up the scene and where you are and what you're discovering. And then you would figure out your task and you would take an action with the other system that you're playing with. And I think it's just totally doable. And I'm ranting because I'm excited about this game. It's very creative and a lot of love was put into this. And I read forward a little bit last night after I was done recording. And I just think it's great. So anyways, we're going to follow through the procedure procedure is what we're going to do. So I believe, ask the question, do we keep our temporary die after we roll them? No, we don't actually. So we have procedure. So we lose all temporary dice in our dice pool. If we gained any temporary dice from our last prompt, though, we keep those dice. But we didn't. So if we flip these out here, we actually lose these 2 black temporary dice, and that's okay. We're going to put the rest back in our pool. We will lose any 1 remaining die from our dice pool. Any 1 remaining. If you're at a settlement, roll a die and have the result to determine the value of wares at this location, which is really cool. We aren't at a settlement though, so we'll do that more whenever we go to one. Select 2 different actions from the appropriate actions list, depending on where your cartographer ends up for the night. Different sets of actions are available to them. You may lose 1 coin to take a 3rd action if we want to. Currently, we only have 1 coin, 1 food, and 1 ware. You've got to remember that. And we have to lose any 1 die. We have to just lose it, right? So we're going to take away this biome die because I want to keep our landmark die. All right, so in our settlement actions, we can do all kinds of stuff, but we're not doing that today. We're actually just going to move right over here to our rest phase action. And even though it costs a little bit to converse in this, you can see you could camp, converse, or hunt. It costs a little bit to converse. We're still going to do a little bit of narrative conversing, but we're not going to take the extra temporary die. You actually like exchange it for ware or coin to get the temporary die. We're not going to do that, but we are going to camp. So we're going to lose 1 food and gain 1 biome. So I guess I shouldn't even take it out, but that's going to put us at 0 food. And while we're camped, I want to paint out the scene. I think that Harlow, on like a piece of black obsidian, has like laid out his map and his journal and like all of his stuff and his magical journal that his family left him. He's laid it out and he's writing out everything that's already happened. He's talking about the obsidian. He's talking about the travel through the tunnels, and he's writing out how if you go through the magical tunnel, it's going to heal you a little bit. And he's writing out all the other stuff. And then he might even put a little box in there that talks about Marley. And then once he's done, he's going to go over to this fire, I think that Marley set up on the edge here of Blacktooth's Spire. And they're going to talk a little bit. And I think Harlow's just going to be like, hey man, so I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a grand adventure that I'm so excited to go on. Where are we headed next? And I think Marley's going to be like, well, son, is he older? Is he an older guy? I kept saying young man because that's what I envisioned. But maybe he's an older guy because I really want him to be like, well, son, I'm going to take you to the closest settlement, you know? Ribbidi-ba. I knew your family very well. This is my final favor to them, you know, type shit. And that's kind of just how that's going to go. We're going to camp, and that's that. And I want to point out that bit that if you are like not recording in front of a camera, that rest section would absolutely be something that you write out fully in your journal, I think. But if you have any questions about what you might maybe want to write in your journal, after the phases, it actually goes into that full example I think I showed yesterday a little bit. And it has a full few pages of like 3 full turns that Jesse goes on for this example. And I think that it's really good, right? If you want like a nice example to follow while you play, it's perfect for you. And then after that, because we are kind of stepping through the book a little bit, I'd say, it goes into alternate tables or alternate rules like multiplayer, skill checks, and hacking. And then we have all of our tables. So we've pretty much gone through the whole book now. And I think that that is fantastic. So we're going to go up to the top of our cycle of play here today. Yes. And we didn't get any extra dice from resting or from settlement because I think will usually do that. You're going to spend your coin, your wares and stuff, and you're actually going to get more dice from doing those things. So we're going to go back to our exploration phase, which I think is the funnest part here. Get out your sextant and roll out your parchment because we're back at it again, baby. Roll your dice pool directly onto your map. Now, I'm wondering if I want to do it with the cup again because we could get like this section here, right? Maybe we can get like a city or something here, or we can try tossing for the example of the video. That's probably a better idea. Let's try to toss, see what it's like without the cup, right? So we're going to toss our dice onto the table, but I still kind of want them to land here-ish, right? So let's see if we can make that happen. What is the best way to do this? This has got me thinking about my dice rolling ability, my habits. I'm like, meow, right, yeah. I don't know. Let's just do it just like that. Oh, I hate. Okay, well, this 5 ain't gonna stay in the lake. We're gonna move it up just right there, like. And then I guess these ones can stay right where this. Another 6 for our landmark die is pretty crazy, honestly. Now we could feel free. I might move them in a little bit, but I'm gonna keep them in that pattern. So let's go ahead and see. Mark coastlines around all landmark dice. Do we think the coastline is up here like this? Maybe the coastline comes in like that. Actually, could be. That's not the worst idea. Okay, so let's draw a little bit of a coastline. I think we're going to do it just here on the edge up here like this. I'm going to hold the dice down, and I'm just going to go around like that, and we're going to leave it there. All right, now we're going to go to our exploration tables here in the back that we have marked very well. And actually, since we've gone through the book like this, we can just pull out our handy-dandy rules reference. now that we've gone through everything, we could just use this. Mark coastlines, consult the exploration table, which is right here. That is, once again, a 6, which is a discovery. Don't fill out the landmark until we go there, right? But now we're going to figure out our biome dice here. So we have a 1, a 3, and a 5. A 1 is a forest, which I think is really cool. I think we're going to be adventuring up this way. I think that's probably what's going to happen. So I almost want to move this forest that way just a little bit. I like where this 5 is, though, because this 5 is the same as closest biome, which technically might make it this lake, but I think it's like closest that we drew. So I could make it a forest, or if we have this 3 up here, this 3 is actually a lake or could be a river, right? Totally up to us. It says if you have 2 to do a river, but since that's a 5, technically that makes it 2, right? So we could actually, since this coastline right here that we drew is a coastline, we could make a river that runs from 3 to 5 and goes into this lake, right? So maybe everything over here is also, could be a little bit of land, but right here is like a coastal river that runs from one place to another, which could make it really good. Like trade route is what my brain is thinking, you know, could be friggin' awesome. So I think that's what we're going to do, because I think that is fantastic. And we're going to make it a thin river, and it's going to start from here up to there. Very cool. Which means we're going to pull this coastline just around a little bit like that, and then we're going to follow suit. And I think that's fun. And that's what it's all about. We got us a river that goes from lake to lake. I don't know what this is up here. This 6 is a discovery. And I think to be able to travel to that landmark, well, we'll talk about that in a sec. But first, let's put in this forest. All right, I'm just going to leave my landmark dice there for a second. So what we're going to do, we have a river now. I don't really like the way that river's shaped, so I might redraw it a little bit. Just saying. But let's go back to our arrival phase. So, okay, hold on. Consult the table and sketch out the map. If you want to move the dice around, do it. Roll dice, put all dice back in here. Very good. Now as we arrive, once again, choose any location on your map. If the chosen location is not the closest to your current location, you must lose 1 food to travel there, which means we can't, I think, is what that means. We can't go directly to the city because it's not the closest. There's a forest there, and we don't have any food because we done ate it all, which means we're going to have to hunt once we arrive to this forest. All right, but we're going to have to go from there to there. Draw a dashed line from the previous location to this one. If this is the first arrival phase of the game, you could skip it. Draw a card from the deck and consult the journey table. Okay, so let's draw our dash line. We're gonna go from Blacktooth Spire, which I stand by that name after a whole day. I love it. We're just gonna do some dashes here. Very good. Now let's draw us a card. No but 3 of diamonds. There's a cat on there. Draw a card from the deck and consult the journey table. Write a short sentence or 2 in your journal answering the prompt and describing the journey to this place. Oh yes. So this is we actually get to kind of use the journey table this time, because last time we kind of fudged it because it was a magical journey. The journey table. We got the 3, which is the journey was perilous and you were put in harm's way. What dangers did you face? Gain 1 wound. Oh no. Harlow, no! We do have a wound roll table, don't we? So before we try to envision that and write it out, let's roll on our wound table. Here we are, which we're going to need our D20 for. We're going to call this a minor wound. What happened to us? That's a 16 right in the box. Grazed elbows. Oh, shucks. I done grazed my elbows. Very good. What happened to us if we grazed our elbows on this journey? Okay. Let's come back here. 2. And also, I think the next step is before I start writing, I want to figure it out. Draw a card and consult the appropriate location table. Oh, so we draw another card. Gotcha. So we don't keep the same one. That's cool. I'm down with that. So, 4 of hearts, which means we're going to do our red forest locations. Maybe this can help show us a little bit of why we grazed our elbows, huh? Red forest. 4. Overgrown tropical jungle. A hermit has made home within this forest. What do they tell you about this place? Gain 1 reputation. Oh, that's cool. At least we get a reputation. We'll write it down on our character sheet right here. From 0 to 1. Very good. Okay, overgrown tropical jungle, and a hermit lives here. Also, what we could do, if we still don't have inspiration on our elbows, we can think about the weather for this as well, which our journey card was the 3 of diamonds. So the diamonds was, it was clear and hot outside. It was clear and hot. So we hurt our elbows from it being clear and hot. I'm straight up thinking that Harlow is just clumsy. And if we were playing the tags system with the skill checks, I would put clumsy as a tag now. It would be a negative tag that Harlow would have. Harlow is clumsy. So while they were journeying, Harlow and Marley together were journeying together. I think that Harlow just straight up tripped over a piece of obsidian rock and bruised his elbow on the way there. Now I wrote, made it to the forest. So before I continue writing, we get to name this location. And on here, there are forest names, region names, encampment names. There's a lot of good roll charts in here. I think I've said it already, but I'm a sucker for a good roll chart. So forest names, let's roll our D20. What is that? Can't even see it. That's a 6 and an 8. So this is the red thicket. I don't like that. It's supposed to be jungly. This was a jungly forest. So I don't like thicket, but maybe we could do the red canopy. I'm cool with that. Made it to a forest called the red canopy. I met a hermit, and we're going to use a name from here. Gideon the hermit, right off these cards. Right there, Gideon. Oh, and Gideon tells us all kinds of beautiful things about the red canopy. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, we're going to put our forest name here, and I really do want to do it in like a different like pen, you know? I think that would be fantastic. I'm just going to do it right here at the bottom. And I'll write it really light because I'm going to be erasing that later. Okay, now we're going to move on to a rest phase. We're going to lose our temporary dice, which we don't have, so we don't need to lose. But we do have to lose another biome die, which is fine. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We're not at a settlement. Select 2. Oh, we get to take 2 actions. Look, I messed up the last rest phase, y'all. I hope someone already hit me with that in the comments. Select 2 different actions from the appropriate actions. So last rest phase, I guess technically we conversed. We should have also hunted. It would have made more sense. So when I was like, oh, we can't go that far because we don't have food, we could have already had food. But you know what? If we did have food, we wouldn't have met Gideon the hermit. Right? So, this time around, we're going to hunt. Roll a die and gain that much food. Lose 1 die of your choice. See page 82 for inspiration on what you might hunt. Okay, we're hunting today. So hopefully we gain enough food to be able to do a lot. All right, we're going to roll our evasive die. How much food do we get? Please be a 6. Good Lord. That's a 3. Okay, I can live with that. So we're also going to camp here. So we're going to lose a food and gain a biome die. So I'm just going to put that back in there. So we're staying with 2 and 1 because we would lose a die from hunting, but we're going to camp, so we're going to gain 1 anyway. So that's going to leave us at 2 food. Sick. And that's going to end our little phase there. Done and done. And we're going to put these cards to the side. This is a cool gameplay loop, you know. It's very tactile. There's a lot going on. I like tactile where we're doing different kinds of things for our little gameplay loop. I think that's a lot of fun. All right, and we know there's a landmark here, a discovery, so I'm going to put a light D, right? A light D. I'm hoping that that's a settlement, right? I'm hoping that that's a settlement. I don't know, but we have 3 dice. We're going back to exploration. We rolled on it last time. I don't want to have to go too far. It would be cool to get some kind of settlement and another landmark on this side so we kind of know where the coastline's going. Because the coastline's going to go from here to here. But in what fashion, I don't know, right? We have no idea. So hopefully all is well. Oh, and did I do a zoom yet of Current's drawings? I'm sure it's hard to read under lights and stuff. Yeah, it's not too bad, you know, the canopy. We're learning, you know. I really want to redo this in pen. I think I could make it look way better on a computer, but that's for my own self, right? So we'll be okay. All right, I'm gonna roll with my cup again, and I'm just gonna go here because we're heading up to whatever landmark that is. Hopefully it's some kind of settlement, city, I don't know. Maybe there's one closer. And release. Cool. Oh, see, we didn't get a 6 on the landmark this time, which means it's an encampment. This 4 is a open land. Okay. And this 6 is same as closest biome. Right on the forest, huh? I mean, right on the river. Open land. Open land. So maybe the river goes around like a big piece of land right here. We're going to add a curve on that river. It's actually kind of cool, actually. Yeah. So we're actually going to curve. In which way? We're going to go this. Yeah. Where'd me eraser go? There she is. Very good. So this is actually going to curve around the land, this here river, because this is open land, and so is that, apparently. And I hated the way that river was drawn anyway, so that makes me happy. There we go. Okay, now we have a encampment right here, which I guess that's where old dude is taking us, I guess. And that is where we're going to head next. Mark coastlines around all landmark dice. Technically, we're in the middle of the middle of land, so I don't think it makes sense to do a coastline around the landmark dice here. What does open land look like? They have a little example of open land right here. Just looks like just some scribblies, you know. So we're just gonna put some scribblies in here so we know that this is open land. Man, I'm telling you, drop this bad boy into Photoshop. I'm gonna copy their exact scribblies so I don't have to draw it myself. Oh, that's what I should have did. I should have done a digital dice roller and chroma keyed it over Photoshop and just rolled right onto Photoshop and just drew on that bad boy. That's what I should have done. Man, next time, my friends, because I can do that, you know. I know how to do that. In fact, I've done a similar thing before. All right, a really bad open land is over. Very good. Okay, what does encampment look like? Encampment. Looks like the little tent guy. Okay, here we go. Right on the edge of the forest there. You'll love to see it. All right, now we're going to do our arrival phase. So we're going to go right to this encampment. Hopefully it's good. We're going to put our little dashes here. Go right around the forest. And then we're going to draw our card. That's an 8 of diamonds. So red encampment. On an 8. A modest farmstead. Pastures of produce. What previous visitor do the people here talk of? Gain 1 food. Nice. Was we hungry? I'm going to go ahead and mark that up right here. Remember I was doing tick and then for some reason stopped doing that. Okay, modest farmstead. Encampment names. What shall you be named there, friend? That is a 15 and a 19. Deep bridge. Deep bridge. You got a bridge going on over here? What's the bridge for? I'm almost wishing now that this river ran through this encampment, because then maybe there was a bridge that went across it. Should we move the river? I think maybe we should. We're going to move it even more. Last turn we moved it a little bit. We're going to move it even more this time. We're going to say that these guys, Deep Bridge, the village of Deep Bridge, we're going to say that they've got a bridge that goes all the way through here. And now we know that all this here is open land. Would you looky there? And that's why we're doing it in pencil, everybody. All right, Deep Bridge. Why is your bridge so deep? Don't know. Couldn't tell you. All right, someone here, or the people here, are talking about a visitor. A whole bunch. Who is this visitor? What previous visitor do the people talk of? Maybe our grandfather came here once before? Maybe when he was setting up the old teleporter pad, and maybe that's why Marley knew us, so they're talking to us about our grandpa. I think that that's fine. Okay, draw a dash line, draw the card. We did that. Consult the journey table. Oh, we didn't do the journey table. We skipped ahead. Yes, we did. Sorry about that. We did the location of the encampment immediately. So let's draw this. 5. This is, you met a fellow traveler on your journey. What rumor did they tell you? Gain 1 coin. Oh, sick. We'll take that. They pay us money and give us a rumor. So we have 2 coin. Maybe we, a rumor of a monster, maybe. I don't like how straight the river looks here. Sorry, ADD, y'all. I'll just look down at it. Thinking about maybe where this monster originated from. I put a little bridge on there too. We met a fellow traveler. Well, what was the traveler's name? Let's see. Saul. We're using the cards now too. Saul gave us a rumor of, what did he give us a rumor of? Let's look at our card. Conquer, fly, scary stallion. That says station, but I think I want it to be stallion. Saul spoke about a scary stallion. The midnight rider, the headless horseman. He roams through these lands, but it is not him whom doesn't have the head, 'tis the horse, and I seen it with me own 2 eyes. The rider's eyes glowed red, and the horse had no head, was the poem he told me. I quickly wrote it in my journal. The idea of a horseless, it's not headless horseman, it's headless horse rider. I don't know what I would call that. I'm like, oh goodness. In the night, we call it the nightmare. Saul tells poems and tales. So we go to the bridge, and then of course our family. Cool. It seems that everything goes okay though. We get a coin, and he tells us about this strange creature, which I think is fantastic, which I'm going to write down in our journal. And now we actually get to, we named the location already, so we're actually going to do our rest phase. So we lose all our temporary dice, which we didn't need to do. We're going to lose 1. Dang, we're almost out of dice here. Biome die. And then if we're at a settlement, roll 1d3 to determine where value. If at an encampment, where value is 1. So we're at the encampment, so everything is 1. Perform 2 different rest actions. Oh, to the midnight rider. I'm having too much fun with it. A small village. I need to remember that. It's an encampment. It's not a big city or nothing else like that. Okay. And I wrote all that stuff down that we kind of just discussed a little bit. So, we have settlement rest actions on the rules reference. Technically, we don't even need to use this right now. That's cool. So we can converse to lose a coin, gain a temporary die. If we're in town, we gain +1 temporary die. I don't think encampment counts as town. I think town is different. We can sleep. Definitely going to do. And we're going to lose a food to get another. So we could pick 2 actions, by the way. We could sell, gain coin equal to the settlement's ware value. So we can sell our single ware that we have to get 1 more coin. Or we can shop. If a city or town, which we're not, draw 3 cards, 1 extra card if in the city. Roll dice for each card to determine price. So we can't shop here because we're not at a city or town, and that's fine. Makes sense to me. So we're actually just going to sleep. So we're going to lose 1 food so we can get 2 biome die. And it says 1 extra die. It doesn't say 1 temporary, right? So it's just 2 biome die. And then we have our wound. Should we lose our wound? We probably should. I mean, that's what makes sense. Or we could just get more dice. We could just spend a coin to get a temporary die, which I think is fun for the game because then we can discover more next turn. Yeah, let's do that. We'll keep the wound. It's fine. All right, we're back up to 5. That's fantastic. We're going to lose 1 coin. So we're going to rest up and do everything in the village. And I think at this point, maybe Marley is going to leave us because Marley got us to the safe encampment. And I think all these people are really nice to us because they knew our grandpa, which is fantastic. And while we're here, we're like asking questions about the drinks that they drink and the food that they serve. Maybe like if I had extra roll charts, right, and I was doing a full campaign of this right now, I'd be whipping out roll charts and I would be building out all the lore of this encampment, this little village, you know, like what what livestock are they messing with, what's going on there. There's another book called Table Fables. I have it over there, but this is perfect for this. Like there's a lot of roll charts in this already, but with the extra little bit, I think, of Table Fables, you can get like exact thing these guys are messing with. But it isn't really like fancy kind of stuff. So even if you roll in Table Fables, it's all like basic fantasy. So you're going to want to push your imagination to make cool, whimsical stuff like I like to do, which is probably what I would do. Today we're not doing that though, but if I come back and play more of this, baby, I'm telling you, and I might even supplement it with another system like I said before. So if we ever do that, that's what I'm going to do, okay? But for now, we're just going to end our rest phase and we're going to roll some more dice because I want to do a phase. I want to roll dice one more time, okay? We're going to do the cup. I want to see what's going on right here. That's what we're going to do. Mix and match them up, baby. I'm really thinking, like, I wish I would have started with another landmark die. That would have, you know, made this more fun. All right, here we go. Closing my eyes, though, as well, so I don't get too targeted on this. All right, here we go. Oh, no. Was that too close to the encampment? Might have been. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. That's a 1. We've got a 4. Okay, let's move these a little bit. Let's put this 1 there. Gonna put our 4 there on the other side of the river. Got our 3, and our 6, and our 4 are gonna go. All right, now let's look and see what is what. Our 1 on the landmark die is nothing. There's nothing there, okay? Our 4 is open land. Okay, we already knew that. This is our temporary die as well. Our 3 is a lake/river. We have another 4 over here, so that's more open land. And then we have 6, which is discovery, which is same as closest biome. So this is all open land. We've got a mini lake and open land. That was the worst roll. Okay, but I already know what I'm going to do with this. So we're going to branch off of this little river right here like this. Just a little bit of a something, something. And then it's going to come out to a lake like that. Very neat. Very much so a lake. We're going to put some coasts on it just so we can tell that that's what it is. There's a lot of open desert land out here. I'm telling you, there ain't much of nothing. Okay, and that is that. And then in our gameplay loop, we'd probably go maybe to the lake, and then we would go from the lake up to this landmark, this discovery, this D I put there. We don't get to figure out what that is until we get there. We see it like on the horizon, you know what I mean? We don't get to see what it is until we get there. What I'm going to do is for now, I think I'm going to put this away, right? I'm going to keep this beautiful, and I'm going to keep this safe, along with all my other notes of everything. Yeah? It's going to be pretty sweet. Maybe, actually, before I play this next, I'm going to take a picture, I'm going to digitize it, and then I'm going to print it out on a piece of paper, right? And then I can cut it and like glue it in here or something, because I'm already like, I want to cut this out just right here, and I want to put this in my one-shot journal, I think is kind of what I really want to do. So I want to make sure I take a picture of it to save it for our next episode if we decide to do that. I think it's going to be fantastic. Which, speaking of that, make sure to leave a like on this bad boy if you want to see me run this back and continue on with Harlow. This is definitely a really relaxed actual play that we've done here. I do not normally play like this. Usually it's more upbeat and fast, and we're getting things and moving on, but I really kind of just wanted to take my time and have fun with this. Even I wanted this to be like a second screen video. I hope I just got to keep you company while you were working or something today. Anyways, that's where we're going to end it. So big shout out to Ravenswood Emporium for sending this over to me. If you want it for yourself, make sure to check out links down in the description. They have dice, and they're also coming out with another game that hopefully I can get my hands on and play here on the channel as well. Hopefully. Remember to do YouTube jibber jabber things, my friends. And if you do want to support the show even more, there are links down in the description that you can click to check out things and support the show if you really want to. Friends, this has been a blast. I really like this game. Here's my final thoughts, okay? 10 out of 10, recommend, play it again, right? It's fantastic. For a solo, for multiplayer, I think would also be a lot of fun. Take your time, explore a world. It's so cool. It's meditative, I think, in a way. And it provides you with everything that you need to just start playing. If you've never done this before, you can play this game. It's great. I am not an artist, and I'm having fun with this, so you can too. And on that, I say, take a seat on the couch, my friends, and roll initiative, at least until you start to explore a new world yourselves. Roll on that, weirdo. I have been Turk from the Grouch Couch, and I'll see all of you next time. A toodaloo. Big shout out to my friend Avery for being my first ever Ko-Fi supporter. Thank you, Avery. You rock. You're a real couch hero. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. And if anybody else watching wants to get a shout out on a video, make sure to check out Ko-Fi. Link in description. Thank you for the support.
Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, like, share, like, share, like, share.